Hello and welcome to the TSM Fanhub podcast, episode 10, entitled "Where is Brad?" Uh, we he should he might show up halfway through this episode. Um, if he doesn't, then that's all right. Um, I want to get this out of the way because I did not say this last week, but we are TSM Fan Hub podcast. We are here to be all your news, your hub for all TSM news and stuff. You guys look so dejected. You guys both look so sad. Guys, get hyped. 2/3 of the TSM teams that played this weekend did amazing. And I won't let you guess which ones. So yeah, tune in every week to get news about TSM, their stuff going on, all that stuff. Real quickly, we've got a little bit of housekeeping to take care of. The first thing we're going to do is we have one giveaway left, and that will be all. So we only had 7 comments on our last video, so I guess that's on you guys, and the people who commented are happy. So we're not going to put a lot of, we have a whole lot of circumstance into this, and I'm just going to tell you that, and yes, I am generating this number live, He's our winner, and he said, hopefully you're going to give away a lot. Well, to you, sir, yes. We'll be getting in touch with you the next week. Last week's winners, I know Brad has reached out to you. If you're having issues, talk to him. There shouldn't be issues, but make sure, because obviously to get you the RP, he's got to friend you, so you got to accept his friend request on League, all that stuff. I don't want to get into it right here. If you're having issues, contact him or DM us on YouTube. All right, moving right along because we have so much to get into this week. We're gonna move straight into Worlds because there's a lot of good news, and that'll be like the light at the end of the tunnel that we can all look forward to. But we gotta start with NA this week went, was it 2-9, which is not as bad as their 0-10 week, but it's still just as bad as their 0-10 week. Immortals lost 4 of their 3 scheduled games. TSM lost 3 of their 3 scheduled games and still won a game. And then C9 just went 1-2. So yeah, Immortals completely just
they shot the bed.
Yeah, they did not.
They're shooting it now.
Yeah. But TSM, let's talk about TSM, and this is going to be a discussion that this is going to take up probably a decent portion of our time here. And I just want to talk about, oh man, there's so much that we want to talk about this. A couple of the things we want to talk about are like our reaction as fans to this, but I think the first thing I want to talk about is the team, how they performed, and kind of our view of this World's performance. And in a nutshell, I would say it's unfortunately a little bit to be expected. That being said, I still think that they could have performed better. I want to hear what you guys thought about their performance before we get into the whole Reddit reaction. Reddit reacts.
Okay. So, okay. They played like they finally let the pressure get to them. I would hate to say it, but I feel like they kind of just like busted at the seams, and maybe the too much focus on we need to be good at everything made them lose the focus on, you know, the little parts, or I don't know either. Maybe they were wrecking in scrims, and all of a sudden, then Worlds Cup, I mean, they actually get on stage. Yeah, or they get on stage and they get stage fright, or they freak out because they're like, oh fuck, we don't want to mess up like they did last Worlds, and There's nobody there to like kind of in that moment when everything is tense to kind of go, hey guys, it's just a video game, and kind of make them
Right.
just go, hey, okay, we're back in reality again. We're human beings.
Right.
Like that's what they. I feel like that's what they needed because if you feel the narrative of this whole season in general, it's from start to finish, or you fucking go back to spring season before Double Lift. From spring season to now, it's all been about what can we do now so that when we get to Worlds, we don't fuck up. When we get to
Right.
Worlds, when we don't fuck up. Then they got to Worlds, and that's all they could think about was like, we don't fuck up. We don't fuck up. Not that, when they should be thinking like, hey, we're rolling through scrims, hey, we're feeling good, let's play loose, let's play our game, let's win lane, let's win game, let's get back to the old TSM ways. They kind of just they deflated at the end, and you can just see it through the gameplay, and you see it through Double Lift making dumb errors of not using his flash for Orianna ults, or him just getting smashed in bot lane, like just staying for too long. Like there's a few times where you're just like, well, you can kind of guess that the jungler is going to be there, so why aren't you backing off? Or Beardson just making uncharacteristic mistakes. It just didn't feel right to me when you're just watching it. It was hard to watch. It was really sad. It's kind of like watching your dog die.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest problems was I can't really get a defining style for what TSM played.
Right.
In the sense that you can say that they were good at late game. Would you say they were a late game team? Not really. They can team fight well, but that doesn't mean that they are a team fighting team. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I get what you mean.
So, last Worlds, they were the early game snowball, go crazy team, right?
Right.
This Worlds, I guess you could say they were the late game team, but you wouldn't say that throughout the season. You would only say that when it comes to the Immortals win and then onwards. So finals onwards. To pick up a style like that, and I don't even want to call it a style because, in my opinion, their late game was good. It wasn't good enough for it to be a style.
Right.
I don't think that that's something that can translate very well. So when your early game is so bad that you don't get any first bloods, you have the lowest laning stats, you have the lowest gold deficit, or the highest gold deficit, I should say. It doesn't matter if you have a late game style, you're never going to get to late game, and that's what we saw happening through most of it.
Yeah. And that kind of brings me into the next topic. And again, this is all under the same umbrella, but this topic is what needs to change. And I've listened to as much as I had time to listen to commentary on a lot of talk shows, people talking about the shortcomings of TSM. One of the most eye-opening ones was Thorin's narrative wake. He had on Veteran and then obviously Kelsey Moser, and they talked about something. Now their solution to the problem was different than what I'm going to come up with, but they said that there's this endemic problem within TSM, that TSM plays a very simple game of set pieces, which is we are going to always prioritize blue buff. We are always going to prioritize dragon. And if we aren't prioritizing those two things, we're just going to kind of fill that dead space until those two things are available. Once Baron is up, we're going to prioritize Baron. And then, we're just going to kind of, oh, hey, look, we took a tower. And they don't have this sense of shot calling. They don't have this sense. And I think that is definitely true. And I think when you watch them, it's really cool when Sven Skaren first came on the team in their summer split 17-1 run, where they were stealing blue buff all the time. Here's the thing is they were just blowing all of the lanes out of the water at that point, that their kind of like holding pattern was just styling on people because they were so good. I think the change that we need to see, and I don't even think that you need to fire anyone from the team. I think we need to have Reggie remove himself from the League of Legends team a little bit. And I think we need to bring in a head coach. I think Parth being an analyst is a good thing. And I think he shouldn't be scapegoated. I also don't think that, I think he should be rewarded for his time on TSM. He has done a lot of things. And if you also think about it, he's brought this team yes, you could say it's the players themselves, but he has brought this team to a lot of NALCS finals and won 3 of them in a row, by the way. So I don't think you should just like, oh, Parth, scapegoat him, kick him off the team. I think drop him down to an analyst. We need a coach or a coaching staff who has a very fresh mentality about the way to play this game. We need to reteach Doublelift and Bjergsen, and even to some extent Hanser and well, I guess the whole team, how to play the game, how to shot call. I think I am fine if we don't even make it into playoffs in the spring split. Yes, that would really suck for the 10 seasons running or whatever the heck we have going on in the finals. But I think we need to completely get a new backstage staff that is able to turn the mentality of this team around, because I think that we've just seen the same TSM, just better players in the positions, and the same thing's going to happen. And yeah, you could say last year they were early game. This year they were playing, I guess, kind of late game, but it's the same. They're doing the same things. They're contesting buffs. They're contesting objectives, and then they're not really doing anything else. And they're not struggling in North America because the teams just aren't that good. So I don't know, what things would you guys think are the things that we need to change before we go on to talking about Reddit Reacts?
Get a coaching staff. Well, get a coach or coaching staff kind of like, I like how the Koreans have it set up, okay? Where their head coach doesn't really rely. Koma, if you guys fucking just listen to anything Koma says. Just read any of his interviews when he actually talks about what coaching is and what he does as a head coach for the team. He doesn't really, yes, he talks about strategy, and yes, he talks about the game with them, but he's more of, as a head coach in Korea, you're more there for the players, okay? One of the prime examples for me is that I found this really funny. When Peanut first joined SKT back in the spring split, there was a moment when they were just streaming, or it's right before the season or in between seasons.
Oh yeah, his drunk stream.
Yeah, he got super drunk on stream, and he started, saying stuff and blah 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 blah. Koma fucking woke up, saw his stream, got out of his apartment, drove all the way to the SKT house, took Peanut off stream, told everyone thank you for watching, and said bye. Put Peanut to fucking bed so he wouldn't say anything stupid on fucking stream and make a fool of himself. That is the type of head coach we need at TSM, because, like I said earlier, they felt like they were deflated. They needed someone to kind of go, hey guys, it's just a video game. Or you always had that one friend that, when shit was hitting the fan, he always knew that one stupid one-liner, and you're kind of like, all right, well, I guess this situation could be worse, I guess. They needed that at that situation. They needed that person to go, guys, we're playing League of fucking Legends. Do you realize this?
Right.
It's a fucking video game. Or to relax and let Doublelift be Doublelift and not worry about fucking up too much. I think his mentality, where he messed up the most, is that he worried about his past mistakes again. He was reverting back to old CLG Doublelift, and there was no way to kind of smack him out of it and go, hey, because that's not Parth's personality at all. And
that's gonna show up at every international event. And here's one of the problems I see, and this is why I want just a reimagined coaching staff, which can integrate the current members of coaching staff. But I want to reimagine coaching staff, because these problems that at first were just the shortcomings of being a North American League of Legends player, you're just not as good as the other players out there, or your team is just not as good, which is a problem that Bjergsen and Doublelift faced, had turned into, oh, you didn't do well at an international event, which then turned into, well, this entire year you didn't do anything, which turned into 2 years, and now 3-4 years running, and that really starts to wear on you. When, yes, you could say Bjergsen could have done more, but I don't think Bjergsen doing more would have carried this team. Even if Bjergsen and Doublelift were playing at their peak performance, I still don't think that this TSM team, they might have gotten out of groups, but they wouldn't have made it too far. I mean, the same underlying issues would have been there, whether or not they were playing at their peak performance. But it's hard to like split those hairs and be like, well, even if I did play well, I still wouldn't have succeeded internationally. You just see that I didn't succeed internationally, and then that weighs on you. That's 4 years in a row now that Bjergsen hasn't shown up at Worlds, and I think that weighs on your personality, and having a mentality shift, and what you're saying, having somebody to just like shake them out of that is really necessary for this team. Jeff, do you have anything to add?
I agree wholeheartedly with changing leadership and getting a whole change of mentality. The only time that I would do a roster change is when week 2 first happened, I was like, I think we should get someone like Yankos or something like that. I don't agree with that anymore. Like what I was saying then, if I was to change, I wouldn't like be looking at a specific role to change. What I would be looking for is looking for someone who is an incredibly experienced leader, someone like what Yellow Star was supposed to be.
Mm.
I would want them to obviously be good at the game too. That was like Yellow Star's problem. He was definitely falling off in terms of ability, and then that led to confidence issues. So I would want someone who, they don't need to be the best, but they need to be good enough to play confidently, and then they would need to have like a really good shot calling and leading voice. Someone like who X Smithy was during the regular season and playoffs.
Right.
And it looked like week 1 too. But basically, that's the only sort of thing that I would think I would want to change with the actual roster. And even then, I'm not sold on roster changes entirely. It would need to be some strong, experienced players. You know what I mean? But overall, I do agree that a strong coaching staff would be very, very good, because I think it's something that somehow is still underestimated by a lot of teams. But I think having that leadership, having someone to look up to and say, I'm doing this essentially so like not only for myself, but so I can, because other people above me are working really hard too for me. You know what I mean? That's a sort of thing that helps, and it's just an extra level of motivation. And I think a strong coaching staff would definitely help with that.
Yeah. So we don't have too much time to dwell on this stuff, and this is all stuff that we're going to be able to talk about more once the league is in off season, which, well, they're in off season, but obviously we're not going to be going in depth right now. But definitely changes, and as we get information on what changes are taking place, we can weigh in on if we think those are going to be huge. I think, and that kind of brings us into the next topic, is I think it's a knee-jerk reaction to be mad at TSM, and it's a knee-jerk reaction to call for everybody's head pretty much on a platter and say, you know what, we need to wipe house. We need to rebuild from Hanser because he was the only performing player. Which, if you watch LS's video, he thinks Hanser was one of the worst players on TSM. Which, agree with that if you will. I could definitely see, actually, in listening to LS's remarks about how Hanser had a lot of he made a lot of plays that you can't see having an impact on the game, but then later on the game, something big happened to the game, and because he did something earlier, kind of like the butterfly effect. I think that lane specific coaching is something that I really hope that we see that, or at least with the academy teams having the lane players talking with each other constantly. Because think about it, if somebody can come to Hanser, a top laner, and like literally all he did the entire game was watch Hanser and watch what Hanser did and be like, okay, you see how your team was rotating up for Rift Scuttler and you were in the bot lane and you went up toward Tribush, and that let Cho'Gath TP in. You realize how you leaving lane for your own safety meant that your team was unsafe. Like, if he can just have that pointed out to him, and I hope they do that, but I think TSM needs, and it isn't, I don't want the solution to be like throw more money at the team to hopefully make them better, but I really do think that having more coaches that can drill down on specific things can help this team a lot. I think communication is still one thing that they need to work on a ton. I don't think that the whole diplomatic shot calling has really worked. And you can tell that from Svenskeren not being in places that he needs to be in. Who's calling that? If Double Lift is truly the really loud vocal early game shot caller, Svenskeren would have been in his bot lane when they're pushed in with 2 waves stacked and Gragas is diving him under tower. Svenskeren would have been there, but Svenskeren wasn't there, which means, yes, you could call, hey, Svenskeren, you should see that that's happening, but at the same time, Double Lift, Biofrost, where's the call on that? Hey, we're getting pushed in. I'm low health. Most likely we're going to get dove because that would be the thing that we would do if we were in the flip position. So I think their mentality kind of shut off. And I think having role-specific coaches or at least analogs on the academy team that can look through different things will really help freshen up. Again, I think the whole thing that TSM needs is a fresh mentality, a fresh outlook on the game. I think, as sad as it is, I do think they need to throw everything that they've learned this past year in the garbage and start over.
Well, that was another weird thing. I feel like they did a lot of things that were like, yeah, we're doing this because we want to be ready for this sort of comp at Worlds and like be ready for an ever-changing meta at Worlds, and then didn't use any of it. We saw them banning Galio on blue side. We saw them, banning they didn't pick up Janna at all. Like,
right.
These are things that if you were actually preparing for an ever-changing meta, they'd be good. When Kog'Maw is the best AD carry or one of the best AD carries, Galio's a good pick.
Right.
And they just, it was a controversial pick back in the day, but Bjergsen proved that he's strong on it. And we just didn't end up moving forward with these things that we practiced.
So one thing that we saw a lot of was a lot of rage on both this subreddit, the TSM subreddit, and the main subreddit, kind of directed at everybody. Everybody got at least some hate. Haunter really got the least until LS came out with his video. Parth got some. I don't think I saw much on Biofrost.
Bio had a solid tournament, I think.
Other than he didn't play Janna. But everyone, Svenskeren got the most. Parth got the second most. Then it was like Double Lift, Bjergsen, then Biohanzer. And there's a lot of people. One thing, I don't really want to name any names because you either saw it or you didn't see it, but there's some people who like are actually mad at TSM for the way they performed as a fan, not as like a member of the TSM organization. And I think I'll preface this and I'm going to hand it over to Chris because I think Chris might have a few words. But one of the things is, as a fan, you've got to realize something. Let me just like try to help with a little bit of perspective. You've got this tournament that if you count up, I think I counted earlier this week, there's about 102 professional League of Legends teams in the world. And that's including all like the emerging regions and everything like that. So that's 102 teams that are trying to get to Worlds. Guess what? This year, 24 teams got to Worlds. Yay. Only 16 teams go into the group stages. Of those 16 teams, guess what? TSM was one of them. So TSM is in the top, and I don't want to say they're in the top 16, but they're definitely in the top 25 of all professional League of Legends teams in the world. So you are a fan of one of the top quarter teams in the world. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is you get to see TSM win at home almost every year. I mean, if they've won how many now? 5, 6 of 10 or something, or 10 or 12 or something like that. So they've won almost half of the NALCSs that have happened. So one of the most winningest organizations that is definitely in the top 25% in the world, and they get third in their group. Now, yes, you could say everything like, oh, they should have gotten out of this group, all this stuff. They say that they want to win Worlds. Here's the thing is they performed at a level that was not what we expected of them, but that doesn't mean that we should hate them or stop being a fan of them. Here's the other thing is there's this thing called loyalty, and it's where when you are a fan of a club, you can get mad at things that happen, but at the end of the day, you don't say, you know what, they made stupid decisions, I'm not going to be a fan of them anymore, because that's not what a fan is. Like, talk to anybody who lived in Chicago for the past 100 years, minus this past year, and they'll tell you about what it means to be a fan. And here's the other thing is, when the new manager took over if you didn't know, I'm talking about the Cubs. When the new manager took over the Cubs, or the owner, sorry, he's like, we're going to win the World Series, but it's going to take 3 to 5 years. And guess what? It took 3 to 5 years, and then they finally won. But that's what it takes time to build up an infrastructure, to build up a team, to build up an atmosphere that is able to be the best in the world. And if you thought going into this worlds that TSM was going to be the best team in the worlds and at worlds, or they were going to win it or something like that, that's honestly on you that you're this disappointed. Yes, they underperformed, but where do you see TSM going too much further past the group stages? Remember, they were one game away from getting out of the group stages. Do you see them going, like SKT? That would have been their next match. So what, they get 3 more games at Worlds if they win one of those tiebreakers. Maybe they ace their group and they're playing against C9. Yay. Okay, now you're up against Longzhu. So you there's yay, you're already not excited about NALCS, so who cares if they're playing C9 in the quarterfinals? Does that really mean anything to you if they get further? Being a fan yes, it's exciting when they have results, but it's about loyalty. It's about being behind these guys and backing these guys, win or lose. Man, I gotta not steal all of Chris's thunder. Chris, do you have anything to say? I love the slow turn to the camera.
TSM doesn't owe you guys jack fucking shit. Do you understand me? They don't owe you jack shit. They created, fucking Reggie created this off the fucking back of his own money, and when it was low and out, no one was fucking shoving them money. None of you guys are sitting over there, wondering. I don't see you guys putting hours and hours and time of putting in the fucking playing league to try to get challenger. If you guys really want to change this shit, if you guys want to go out there, fucking apply for the coaching job. Go. Anybody can go for it, right? If you can, if you think you're honestly qualified, look yourself in the goddamn mirror and go, if you really think you can say that and go, oh, I can coach this team better, then put your application in and go put up or shut up at that point. Because if you can't, then don't be sitting there and going, well, they've got to show me these results, or I'm gonna quit being a fan. They got to earn my loyalty. They earned your loyalty with fucking 3 finals wins in a row, motherfucker. They haven't done that shit before. And if they don't perform internationally, you know what? Look at the Koreans. If you want to see crazy, if you want to see real dedication, if you want to see teams where you watch the regular season, watch those bottom 3 teams, they're fucking shot to hell. Their faces are just like ghostly because they're practicing so hard. Their coaches are on them. They know they're going to get, they were going to lose their contracts. That, you don't see that in the NALCS. And that right there is not because, oh, Parth didn't coach them all enough. That's a cultural thing, bruh. That's just straight up right there. And you guys in Reddit talking about, oh, blah, 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 this keyboard warriors over here going, go try something. Go try something for anything that you really like and try it really, really hard. You're going to fail. No, there's going to be times in your life where you're going to try as hard as you can and you're still going to fail. And if that hasn't happened, I don't want to be there when it does. And I'm being dead serious, because guess what? That's the type of mentality gets these fans of going, hey, if you guys don't give me the results because I'm on my computer and I watch you guys every day and give you that one extra view and I sit there and do.
And I bought a hoodie.
And I did this and I did that for you. Guess what, man? Go ahead. You're one out of what? How many other fans? Didn't you hear the numbers that the rest of us are out there? There's reasons why people watch us out here and watching this podcast, because there's enough of us out there. Go jump in a lake, bro, because they don't need that extra stress. It was sad to watch them in that group stages. I wasn't beat up because I was mad at the end of the stages. I was mad because I was beat up and sad because it was like exactly what I said. It was like watching my dog fucking die. It was like these players that you're pumped up for, and you watch them just slowly kind of just go, well, there goes our fucking season, guys. And and how do you change that? And how do you go there as a fan and then you want to go and chop them off even more after they're beaten down? Bruh, then that to me, that's a you problem. That's not a team problem. That's not a TSM thing. You got to look yourself in the mirror and go, well, why am I doing this? Because what they need from us right now is support. They need to go, guess what, guys? We still got your back. Sven, dude, I hope you're our jungler next season, bruh. Not because you're the best jungler in NA, because you got the best forearms in NA, dude. I see you in those fucking pictures at the NLCS sitting there fucking, yeah, dude. I want that
and because we believe that there's a future. We don't think that the state that he's in, we don't think that where he is now or what he's done in the past is defining what he can do in the future. We know that these players, yeah, they've, and that's here's the thing is you've got people like Bjergsen and Doublelift who haven't been able to perform internationally, and that's what people are telling them. You can't perform internationally. Well, I don't think you're the best in the world to results show it. But if they're coming to the fan base and they're hearing the exact same thing, well, there's another year that Bjergsen doesn't perform internationally, and he just never will. Well, why are you letting the current and like things that have happened, like do you call in one Reddit forum, you'll call Bjergsen the best player in North America, and then another one you'll say, well, he'll never be able to perform internationally. Well, if he can't, then I guess we should just shut down the NALCS, because no player in North America is ever going to be able to beat a Korean team. Pack it up, boys. We're Overwatch now. Like, real, like, what do you think was going to happen? Sorry, Chris. I jumped in there.
You're good. So yeah, like what I was saying was it was just sad to watch. And if you want to sit there and you want to be on your high horse and tell everybody, oh, I'm better than this, or if you're gonna sit there and go, oh, I would have done this differently, or you know what? There's a classic quote to that: hindsight's 20/20, motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
And go ahead, cool, man. Cool. You can tell people what to do after you've seen it, and but who gives a shit at that point? And if you're gonna sit there, and that's not the thing. It's like you want to back these players up, and this is coming from shout out to the dude that gave me shit for being a Seahawks fan. That's cool, man. I'm down for the hate, like, and I'm cool with that because I was a Seahawks fan when they were 4-12. And we drafted Aaron Curry as a fucking linebacker out of Wake Forest, and he was supposed to be God and became fucking shit. I was there. My family was fucking Seahawks fans during the Boz era with Steve Largent and all of them. Like, and I'm still a Seahawks fan. Go ahead, fucking bash me for it, and I don't care, because that's not the thing. I don't care what other people say. I love the Seahawks because there's an unconditional just because tie to that, tie to me or whatever, and it's the same exact thing for TSM. It's like, cool, Doublelift can go, or you can go even go farther with that and go my fandom for Doublelift. Yeah, I know he's going to probably stay in lane for too long and greed out and probably die a few times. Yeah, you're right. He's probably going to do something stupid and not use his flash. You're right. Or he's probably going to jump and go ham in a team fight when he thinks he can get a pentakill. But guess what? I take the good with the bad, because you won't get all just good all the time, because if everything was just good for most people out there, and it sounds like for most of this community, you'll still find the shit. You guys still will. And you guys want to appreciate the good. You guys want to appreciate the stuff that is there right in front of us. And to the people that are doing the appreciation threads, I see you. And I try to give you guys the props and stuff like that, And that's the type of fans we need to keep. And the rest of you guys that think that TSM owes you nothing, go jump in the lake. You can go jump in the lake, or you can go, or you can go ask a Team Liquid fan how they feel. And then you'll know about what real disappointment's about.
But here's the thing. I think TSM needs to win me back as a fan, Chris. Do they not?
I have a boot for your... Yeah, I have a boot for your ass which says TSM. That's what they'll give you. Right up in there if you want. I mean, that's all they owe me, and that's all they owe all of us. And I know people are going to be like, but if everybody left, cool. There'll still be me. And probably Josh and Jeff and Brad if he ever comes back from missing. I don't
Maybe
know.
Not Brad. Brad might not be here.
I might have to, get a milk carton and put missing for Brad's face. It's cool, man. No worries. But there will still be the fans there. And that right there is what these big investors coming up in franchising are going to see. Is not the ones that are going to jump ship after they lose a few games or jump ship after they go 4-12. They're going to go to the ones that are like the crazy Buffalo Bills mafia that goes tailgating and likes to drink fucking beers out of the bowling things. Or they want to see those fans that want to dress up as TSM people and do it for Halloween. Or, go out and order the jackets and go, I want a Doublelift one, I want a Haunter one, I don't care if they win or lose, I'm going to still love them. Those are the fans that they're going to see, and they're going to go, this is why we invest in this team.
Exactly.
Not the
And,
ones
like,
that
I
are going to
think-
be all mad and talking all the time. So
Jeff?
I think that a lot of these people, these Fairweather fans, they just don't understand what persistence is. And persistence is exactly why I think TSM is still going to, or can still win next year and still do well next year. Basically, if you won every single time that you tried to do something, it would be so fucking boring. You know what I mean? There would
And
be
pointless.
what would be exactly. What would be the point of going out and doing anything if you're just going to win every single time? It's going to suck. And I understand where these people are coming from in a lot of ways because I'm feeling a lot of the same things. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling drained. I've been making a podcast for the past 10 weeks on this team, and it culminates to not being able to get out of groups. And I feel drained. I feel as shitty as anyone else. But you know who feels shittier than any of us? Fucking the team. The team feels so shit right now that, like, I can't even imagine what they're going through since I've never dedicated my entire life to something that like they have, and not only have I never done that, after doing that, it's never failed. You can't know what that feels like. So I think that these people who are running away from the organization have no idea what persistence is because we're going to see, I'm hoping, Doublelift, Bjergsen, Svenskeren, Haunser, and Biofrost come back next year strong because these people do have persistence. And I hope that as many fans as possible also have this level of persistence and don't give up on the team because I don't think the team's giving up.
Yeah. And I think one of the big things to note is it's if everything is results based, if you're a fan because TSM is the best NA organization, like if you're questioning why you're a TSM fan after this, if you're like I can't do it anymore, why have you not been supporting the Koreans this entire time?
Yeah, it was
like
SKT.
Yeah, just go be an SKT or a Longzhu fan. Don't be a KT fan. But
yeah, please, for your own safety.
For your own safety, because you'll probably leave them after one split. But like it's the same exact idea. It like if you want results, go watch LCK, and that's where that conversation ends. If you like the players because of their streams, their personalities, how they've interacted in the past, how they play, their play styles. Like we all know Chris loves
memes.
Yeah, we all know Chris loves Hanser because Hanser loves to go straight through brick walls. Like that's his play style. Like that's why we're not. I mean, the first match I ever watched of TSM, they lost 3-1 or whatever, 1-3 to Samsung Galaxy Season 4 Worlds. That was my introduction to TSM. I am not here because of results. If I was here because of results, I would be a Samsung who won that? Was that Samsung Galaxy White?
Yeah, Samsung White.
I'd be a Samsung Galaxy fan if I cared about the best team in the world. And here's the thing, one day you might be able to say, I am a TSM fan and I have been a TSM fan for X number of years, and we are the best team in the world. Just think about how cool that would be to say that one day. But if you're going to jump ship because they're not the best team this year, well, then you're not going to have that experience. You're not going to be able to be the Cubs fan that gets to say after 100 years. Okay, here's one thing, and I understand this is getting a little bit off topic, but what happened the weekend after the Cubs won the World Series? Everybody went down to Wrigley Field and wrote the names of their loved ones who had died but were fans of the Cubs when they died, who were not able to see the Cubs win the World Series. That's dedication. That's saying after all of these years, after not winning for all of these years, finally, hey, look, there's a victory, and this person died a Cubs fan, even though they never got to see this moment. And I'm not saying that you have to wait 100 years, because who knows what esports is going to look like in 100 years. But that's the dedication is, you know what? I might never see it happen, but I'm going to stay a fan. We could go on. We could go on forever, but we've got a lot more to get to this episode. That's most of our sad stuff that we have, though. So we're going to move on to some, like I said at the top of the show, 2/3 of the TSM squads that played this weekend did amazing. we just covered the 1/3 that didn't do amazing, but 2/3 did amazing. So the first thing we're going to cover is PUBG. I talked to you guys last week about how PUBG had a pretty awful week 5. Pretty awful week 4. They bounced
In what
from
league?
The APL. I hate you, Jeff. And so they bounced from 9th place into 18th or 19th or something like that. This week they were on fire. I think they went something like 9th, 2nd, and 3rd overall in the 3 matches, and ended up in 9th place again. So the dream to hit top 5 is still very much alive. These guys, if they play the way that they did, and you know, if they're making it as a final 2 or 3 teams consistently, you're gonna see the TSM name shooting up that leaderboard. Chris, you watch these matches. You want to any comments, breakdown, anything you want to say about that?
Everyone's a lot more organized. Whoever was the second commentator.
Oh,
You
my
may
word.
have to mute the stream, dude. I love you. The first guy, you were great, but just I don't know. Write a script out, make some talking points. Just stop. You're stumbling around your words. Just plan something out before next time. I don't know if you were nervous or not, dude, but just please. All right.
For the
Over
love
that.
of God, don't wing it.
Over that. TSM played good. First game they were caught like running into the circle ish.
It was a military
Yeah.
island end, and no one landed on military. And so it literally was the entire match was everybody trying to get on the island, and then if you were lucky with circle spawns at the end. Yeah. Sorry, did I steal your thunder?
You want to go to game 2?
Take it away, Chris. I'm gonna put this down.
All right. So game 2, they got second place. Overall, everyone across the board got a good amount of kills. Second. AMPR definitely showed out this game with early kills in the beginning to save the team from early deaths. The freaking Guerrilla Esports crew, though, they were definitely a lot better. Then they kept winning them out. Dude, I can't think right now. Take it over. Go, Josh.
You seriously want me to?
Just take it over. Yeah, dude, I lost my train of thought.
Game 2 and 3 kind of went in the same type of way, where TSM was one of the last groups. I think something that they need to scrim, and it's really hard to scrim because the only time you see this is in the competitive scene, is the full team fights when there's like 3 teams left, because it just takes so much coordination. When there's either 2 or 3 teams left, but all 4 members are alive. And that's something you don't really see outside of competitive play, because outside of competitive play, everyone's fighting right away. In competitive play, you see rarely any fights for the first, until the first circle's almost completely gone and you got the second circle spawn. And then at that point, you know, it's people are being picked off as they're moving between houses. And it's not really until the final 2 circles, once there's only like 1 or 2 teams, maybe there's 2 teams and 1 guy left over. But that's one thing is Guerrilla Esports, Guerrilla Core, they were really making some aggressive moves, and they were making really good, they had really good coordination as a team, how they were flanking the hill that TSM was on, and it felt like TSM was kind of caught in a position that they aren't really used to. Outside of that, I mean, congratulations to them for making it top 3 2 games in a row, and really like boosting their score, as well as getting tons of kills this week. Chris, do you have anything else? Oh, sorry.
I just have a question real quick. Do you guys think that the volatile nature of the standings is going to essentially keep going like this until the game gets to full release?
I think it's just based on scoring from event to event. I think the the standings is just because every week because it's really easy to place really high, and then the next game or the next week place really low. You see people jumping around, but I think their scores are getting averaged now throughout the weeks, and so that's why I think you see less, like you can't move as many spaces now by having a knockout week unless you're just like head over heels over everyone else. It's not the right term. Whatever, you know what I mean. And that kind of brings me to another point, which is IEM is coming up at the end of the APL. I believe it's at the end of the APL, and all the TSM guys have been pretty vocal about a lot of the stuff going on with that. How they're not too fond. The scoring system hasn't been announced yet, so they don't know how to prepare. Like, do we go for kills? Do we go for last man standing? They're not happy because the blue circle is just going to be base damage, so you can just camp outside the blue, kind of like we saw way back at the Gamescom with Break literally sitting on the other side of the map, just meting up all game. That's going to be completely viable because they're not raising blue damage. There's another thing that they weren't happy about, but yeah, these are all changes that we've been talking about. Is I think until an organization, and this might not ever happen, but I think until an organization comes in and says this is the way that we play it, or until the actual game designers say this is the way that it should be played competitively, I think you're going to see every event's going to have its own flavor of how people are ending. I like the APL because it is 7, I want to say. Is it 7 weeks long? 8 weeks? I'm kind of looking at Chris, but he's not. Christopher.
What?
Do you know how long Azam is? Is it 7 weeks?
No, it's like 10, I think, 10 or 12.
10 weeks? Okay. The nice thing about that is it's consistent scoring for that many weeks. So the leaderboard should be pretty accurate towards how good the teams are. But then again, there's all the patching and everything changing and guns getting added in the middle of it. So it's a lot like a League of Legends season. So,
okay.
Yeah. Chris, do you have anything else to say about the PUBG squad?
They look more organized and together. I don't want to call anybody out, but we need to get more coordinated and hit our shots more. I don't know. We just seem to always give ourselves get stuck in like weird situations and getting flanked out. So we just need to be more careful, I guess. I don't know. I guess that's it.
Sweet.
Cool.
PUBG's got week 6 coming up this next week, and so that'll be pretty cool. All right, Vainglory. Vainglory they took a break from the autumn split, in which they're like 3rd place or something like that. And they did something called Run the Gauntlet, and this is pretty much there are 5 teams that they have to beat, and if they beat those 5 teams, then they play against it's kind of like in a 3-way single elimination type tournament against Cloud9 and Rogue. And so this weekend, Vainglory decided they came out to play. They decided, you know what, we're going to learn how to play Vainglory, and we're actually going to show people how to play Vainglory. Now, they weren't playing the best teams. They played against Echo Fox, who I believe is in the Challenger Series in North America, and beat them. That was our first game. Their second game was against SK Gaming, which is the #1 team right now in the autumn split in Europe. And I'm not going to go through all these games because there's 7 of them, but then they beat Fnatic, which is the #5 in Europe. Then they beat NRG, which is another North American Challenger Series team. And then they beat the gauntlet boss was Ace Gaming, which is one of the top East Asian teams. So one of the top Korean teams, actually. I believe. I could be wrong about their country of origin, but I believe the casters were saying they were an Asian team, but one of the better ones. They actually gave TSM the biggest run for their money. TSM had open vein crystal, which is the Nexus. But we're able to outscale. Never heard that before from a TSM team. And they actually they drafted very well so that they had the tools necessary that even when they didn't have any base defenses, they were able to push back and win fight after fight and kind of regain control of the map and then go for the win. Then they played Rogue and beat them handily, and then they played C9. They really just took a stomp through this entire week. One of the nice things, they played NRG, who had their old carry, Mishki, however you pronounce his name, who had left TSM, and they were able to beat him. That was actually the most stompy game that they had, where they just kind of rolled over NRG. So it was nice to see Best Chuck NA really putting the pain in that lane and kind of showing, yes, I was the correct choice for this TSM team, and it doesn't matter that you left because I'm here now. Yeah, basically TSM went 7-0, and if nothing else, this gives them 7 games of confidence moving into the next couple of weeks of Vainglory 8 that are coming up, I believe this weekend. So that's exciting. If you aren't watching Vainglory, that's definitely something to fill your League of Legends void. It's a tablet MOBA. I highly recommend you watching that. I think that's all I've got for that. Yeah. So upcoming matches and stuff. We've got PUBG coming up week 6 of the APL, and then it is the Smash Summit from the 20th to the 22nd, which I don't have my watch on, but I believe that's this weekend. Both our boys are going, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Yeah?
So no, Zero is not.
Yeah,
going.
it's just Melee, I think.
Oh, it's just Melee. That's what I said.
No, it's just Melee.
See,
so
this is how much I know about Smash, guys. And yeah, Chris, you had a couple things you wanted to say about this, right?
So this tournament, Smash Summit, is very interesting. If you want to watch any of the Smash tournaments, this is probably one of the funnest ones to watch this weekend. So the players get, so I go through this way. There's top 10, the top 10 Melee players get automatically invited to a house. Dota does it too, where it's a house that somebody opened up a couple years back when grassroots tournaments were still really big. And he basically just opens up his house, and actually the players used to stay in the house, but now they just stay in a hotel close and they just get an Uber over. But
lame.
Yeah.
So the top 10 players are going to be there. So are like Mango, Armada, Leffen, Plup, all that fun stuff. And then players get voted in. So, and how players get voted in is that you go and cast votes and see who gets to go in. And if you get a certain amount of votes, then you fill a slot. And as of right now, the only real big one the only 2 big ones that you guys would probably know of is Mike Hayes and S2J. Or the 2 ones. One of the fun things about this tournament, there is team battles. So as fans, you get to pick or vote on what your 4 captains are. This is where the Team Beer meme came out of like 2 or 3 years ago. I have a Team Beer T-shirt, the original Team Beer shirt with the blue ribbon one. If anybody, that's the original 50, by the way. So you guys can go. That's from the first one with Kevin Toy and all them. Yeah. So,
he's an
Who's
OG
our boy?
fan.
yeah, I'm an OG Team Beer fan, bro. Don't
Is Toy your boy?
Yeah, Kevin Toy's my boy, bro. His math skills are amazing. His sliding's great. Okay, don't get me on that rant. But so they get to vote, and the coolest thing is that right now Mango's #1, obviously, like by a lot too. It's kind of funny. Plup, Armada, and then Mewtwo King, which leaves Leffen out of it. So that means Leffen can get drafted, and I know Mango and Leffen have been, kind of touching tips lately and crossing streams. So I would love to see, Mango and Leffen be on the same team, because Team Beer is notorious for this tournament. Notorious for drinking and being drunk this whole fucking weekend. That is the team. Like Bango, the original Bango thing. Kevin Toy was drinking a 40. Like he had his 40 like wrapped up so that thing, but he was literally drinking a 40 while he was playing Smash in between his sets. Like you get thirsty and you just drink his 40 and fucking keep playing. This meme is great. So, and then at the end of the night, every night they play a giant game of Mafia. For anybody that doesn't know, not the video game Mafia, but the actual like card game, you sit down with your friends. There's Mafia. They kill people at night. There's a doctor. All that fun stuff. You watch that with like, if you're a Super Smash fan, it's super fun because you get to see all of your favorite Smashers, and they're just like mentally like trying to like probe at each other, and there's like fun jabs. But there's like 20 people too, so it's like all the Smashers and then like the crew members get in there. If anybody knows the meme about the hand doctor, you know about the hand doctor. She might be there again. That should be super funny.
I think,
Um,
real quick, I think my favorite moment from Mafia the one year was Hungry Box when he got like, I think he was like the detective or some shit, and they had him executed, and he gets up and instantly is just like, "You guys are fucking idiots," and just leaves.
Nah, but if I had to
so
pick,
salty.
no, the best Mafia thing is when Mango was detective, and he pointed out the Mafia the first night, and then Mango just sits down, and then everyone wakes up, and he gets up and goes, "All right, guys, I'm the detective, and Hungry Box's Mafia kill him," and everybody believed him right off the bat because everyone was like, "Mango doesn't even know what the fuck the detective was," and like someone had to explain it to him, and they were like, "Yep, that's true." And then he kills all. And then he guesses the next two Mafia. They ended it in 3 fucking nights because Mango was like, "He's Mafia, he's Mafia, he's Mafia," and then it was game over, and the stream ended, and everyone was like, and then like mail, and then Reddit fucking blew up and shit. It was yeah. So this tournament, like, if you like if you really want to see like the real culture of Melee and like how it's grown of like. Because Melee is weird in a way where it's like a bunch of friends that started playing Melee together, and then it slowly started becoming bigger, and now they have major tournaments. But all these guys are
On
like the
both
top.
coasts too.
Yeah, well, in the top 10 guys, because there isn't a lot of top Melee players, they're really close friends. So, like, when you get to see them, hang out with each other, because they're in this house together for 3 days for, like, probably 12 hours each day with each other. And then, because they get the food provided for them, they're playing doubles, singles, teams, and then they're going to have a side stream also where they're going to be showing their friendlies. So you get to watch, different types of friendlies, like Mango, maybe like Mango versus Axe. I don't even know if Axe is going to be here actually for this tournament. But yeah, he is actually. So like you see Mango versus Axe, maybe you get to see another young Link versus Mario matchup. That's always super fun. And maybe I don't know if Mango's gonna take this one seriously. I hope he doesn't, because whenever he does, he just gets super drunk with his team, and I wouldn't mind seeing a drunk Leffen try to beat Armada. That would be really funny. So
Yeah.
I think we have the dates wrong. I think that's November 2nd to 5th, correct? Because I think Smash 4 has a tournament this weekend. The DreamHack Denver.
Yep, I was looking at it wrong.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Okay, so scratch what we said about dates. So Smash 4 has a tournament this weekend, and that's the DreamHack Denver singles and doubles. That's 20th through 22nd. Then the next 2 weekends, Vainglory is playing. Then November 2nd through 5th is the Smash Summit 5, which you
and Zero
definitely
is
want
going to Denver.
Okay, yeah, and Zero will be. That's why I got confused. It was like I thought Zero was playing this weekend. All of that to say, those are 2 things you should tune into with all your new free time, not having to worry about TSM playing Worlds. Also, PUBG is in about a month. They'll be at IAM Oakland playing in that tournament. So, yeah. The last thing that I want to talk about, and this was some breaking news. And this is all speculation. You've probably seen this if you're a League of Legends fan. You've been on the League of Legends subreddit. There's been a lot of leaks coming up from Jacob Wolf about teams making it in and or not in the NALCS. As you know, franchising is happening in North American LCS, and Riot opened it up. Anybody could apply for a spot. It is $10 million if you already had a team, $13 million if you did not have a team. I think they got 100 plus applications, so from existing teams and outside people. We already know of 2 teams or 2 organizations getting in who did not already have a team. That is Optic Gaming, which if you know anything about Optic Gaming, people call them the TSM of anything that's not League of Legends, just because people don't like their fans. And which I'm not trying to, don't presuppose anything. I honestly don't know. I was told that this weekend because I've never I'd heard of them, but I hadn't really never encountered their fans before.
And CS:GO are crazy. They're
The
like,
other,
really crazy.
what time does Optic play? Anyway, guys, I had to go through my meme flashcards before this episode. The other thing is I believe the Golden State Warriors owner, or the major owner of the Golden State Warriors, has been accepted into the NALCS. So those are two things. I don't know if we'll get a Golden State Warriors league team, which would be pretty dope, but we'll see. Now, some teams that have not made it include Echo Fox. Wait, no. Echo Fox is in. I don't know why I started with that, because I was just looking. Team Envy is not in. Dignitas is not in, and the biggest shocker was Immortals is not in, and we'll talk about that briefly just after this. Teams that are in, you have the C9, TSM, Team Liquid, CLG, and Echo Fox, I believe, are the 5 confirmed teams right now. No word on, so that's those 5 plus the 2 outside. No word yet on FlyQuest. Remember, they are backed by some basketball team, I think.
The Bucks?
The Bucks.
Yeah.
The Bucks.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought Jazz, but the Bucks.
And yeah, so it's a very we'll put it this way. This is going to be the wildest of Wild West off seasons, not only with all of these orgs being dropped and added, but also with runes being being thrown out the window. This is going to be, academy teams added on. This is going to be the year, like we were saying at the top of the episode, we want to see a mentality shift for TSM, and this is the year to do that. This is the perfect time to completely scrap everything that's happened and to start with a new mentality. Real quickly, I want to briefly talk about Immortals. Now, remember, all of this is speculation. These are sources said. Something that a lot of people were latching on, and I'm going to be rephrasing a lot of things that Travis Gafford said in his video. I would highly recommend watch that. Don't necessarily listen to me. But some things that he was saying was everybody's latching on to this comment about how Immortals was dropped because they are trying to start this fan experience, Overwatch League, viewing experience in LA. Here's the thing is, that Riot does not care about how many fans they attract to the NALCS live on game days. And this because, number one, they were already not filling up. Number two, that accounts for probably less than 1% of their overall viewership and probably doesn't make them that much money. If you think about how much money it is to build arenas, I was very surprised when they went to 2 streams that they built a second arena, because that is a lot of money for not that much payoff in terms of ticket sales. I'm not going to get into all of that. The other thing is, and this is a question that I was asking Chris and Jeff at the beginning of the episode, is other than Omen, can you name me 2 investors in Immortals? Because Immortals just paid $20 million that was the entry fee into the Overwatch League. Plus, they're planning on building this player experience for Overwatch. And part of the application to get in the NALCS was opening up your books to Riot and saying, this is our cash flow in, this is our cash flow out. And if Riot sees that and sees, I can't name their sponsors. Jeff, I don't know if you can. Chris, do you know any other than Omen? Do you know any other sponsors for Immortals? And I'm not saying take our word for it. Definitely you can look into it, but there hasn't been a big Madison Square Garden. There hasn't been a big investor into Immortals, and yet they're shelling out top dollar for players. I mean, they had Hooney, remember, and Rainover at one time. They've got they're shelling out,
huge name.
Right, they're shelling out all this money, and if they're not getting that revenue back in, that's something that Riot's really looking at. So before all the pitchforks come out, go and watch Travis's video. Pretty much I just summarized a lot of the points that he said. He says them so much better, and he actually knows the people who he can talk to. This is a very interesting situation, and I'm really excited for the possibilities that this opens up. With possibilities like Coach Song is now available, Xmithy is available Flame is available. So these are just players that, again, at the top of the episode, we said I don't want to cut any players from TSM, but definitely thinking about an academy team, A, B team, however you want to posture it, coaches. I don't know exactly how you want to set the whole thing up, but these are huge pickups that have been made available, that are coming up. This is going to be an exciting off season. Oh, one other thing, and people think this is a meme, but I definitely don't. I think Crepo would be a very interesting acquisition as a coach. Crepo turned around Splice in the last couple of weeks of the EULCS, and I think the EULCS has a very if you listen to the Narrative Wake episode from Thorin, they're talking about how EULCS doesn't have the money to throw into coaching infrastructure. NA has the money to throw into the coaching infrastructure, but they have no idea what they're doing. They just try to emulate Korea, but they have no idea what Korea even does. EU LCS doesn't have that money, so they have to just do what works and hope that they have enough money for that. And so I think it'd be really interesting to get some EU coaches, so someone like Crepo, who's very knowledgeable about this game and who would command the respect of the TSM players. Chris doesn't like it. That's fine. Comment below, subscribe if you like this video, share it with your friends. We're going to keep going here. I don't know. TSM might have to win us back as fans. Hopefully we won you guys over as fans. And hopefully Brad shows up at some point. Was Brad a figment of my imagination? He existed, right?
Brad was never here at all.
See,
Brad just might have been a bad mushroom trip. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe they were only maybe he was just like, I was about to spoil so many movies there, so I'm not going to do that. All right. No, that's the end. So we will see you guys next week. Same bat place, same bat time. Go TSM. Definitely spam those TSM chants in the world streams. You know that they want to see that. Or spam optic chants, let's be honest.
Yeah, let's spam optic chants.
All right. All right. Until next week. See you guys.
Bye, guys.